Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your October connection session. I am Princess India. If you're new and if you're family, welcome back, my friend, and whatnot, or whatever. So we're going to be looking at not an overall energy. I did that before. That's the soul session. We're looking at the energy between you as well as your person of interest. And then we're going to be getting into another spread where we're going to be looking at how your person of interest thinks and as well as feels about you. I don't know what is going on with my mind and my mouth, Gemini, but they're not working together today. But anyway, we're going to be looking at how your person of interest thinks as well as feels about you. Oh, good God. I don't know what is happening in America. We're going to go ahead and hop right in to you guys' cards. I don't know what is going on. My mouth and my mind are in two different places. These cards are popping all over the place, child. Look. Anywho, so the energy that is representing Gemini for October, we have the Six of Cuppies in the reverse. So Geminis, you guys are thinking a lot about the past. I think that came out for Aries too, if I'm not mistaken. But you guys are thinking a lot about the past. And when I say thinking a lot about, what I really mean is idealizing the past a great deal. And I mean, it could be recent past, it could be distant past. It's more or less, excuse me, thinking of a time other than this one. So a time other than this one where things were a way that they are not now, and more or less kind of using that as a distraction. I don't want to say using it as a distraction, because not saying that you're doing it intentionally. I just feel that your mind is kind of being brought to places that are in the past, and you're thinking about how things at that particular time were a lot better than they are now. More specifically, in reference to your person of interest, you could be thinking about a time in you guys' connection where things were a lot better than they are at present, and kind of wanting to revisit that, if you will. Now, and then I kind of feel a vibe too, where this is just like a side note. I just got a little oomph about it, but how can I explain this? It's almost, well, scientifically, the way our brains are set up, we have a tendency to idealize the past. So when we're thinking back on something, we have a tendency to attach a lot more positive attributes to people, situations, circumstances, what have you. But I have a sneaking suspicion that whatever it is you guys are thinking about, that it's kind of idealizing it. So it's remembering it a lot better than what it was. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if you missed an ex, right? You're thinking about like, oh my gosh, they were so amazing, and I never felt that way with anyone else, but you're totally forgetting that they were like, grotesquely verbally or emotionally abusive. It's just highlighting that, the positive attributes about it. Now, your person of interest, interesting. Your person of interest is showing up as the high priestess. So, I mean, it very well could be that the two of you are not speaking at present, but this is just what I heard intuitively. But they're thinking about you a great deal. So it could be that, the two of you are not necessarily in communication with each other, or your person of interest is kind of tight-lipped at present. So, I mean, it could be a recent conflict that happened between the two of you. And there's kind of like, I hate to say veil, but it's kind of like a veneer up to where even if the person is like super active on social media, it's like you can't really, and this would be a perfect example of it. Like if a person like, has, I don't know, a business or something like that on social media, right? And they mostly use social media for their business. So they're posting all the time, but of course they're posting stuff for their business or their persona or brand or whatever. So you can't really get insight into what's really going on with them. You know what I'm saying? So because it feels to me that it's some type of like facade or something that your person of interest is putting up, and you can't see behind it. So you see them, but you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, if you will. And I feel that's being done intentionally, if I could say it that way. But I do get the vibe that they are thinking about you, like they're wondering kind of what's going on with you, like peeking from behind the veil, if you will. Now, the energy between the two of you, interesting. we have the Two of Wands. So you guys are at a crossroads. So there's a decision that needs to be made in reference to this connection, Gemini. I feel the way, like, whatever decisions were made or what it is you guys did that got you to this point, it's kind of like a crossroads with that. Um, like almost the way that the two of you have behaved towards each other up to this point, like there's something with that that would have to be sacrificed or left behind, like your way of relating to each other. And it feels kind of like a outgrowing or something. It's a really weird energy I'm picking up with that. The outgrowing part of it, because it's how could I put that in real world terms? It's almost like, I guess I used marriage maybe. Like if you think about how your relationship was when you guys were just in a relationship, and like once you get married, not saying that you guys are married, but using this as like, a metaphor, it's like once you get married, things change. You know what I mean? So certain things that you did as like just a dating couple, like there's a shift to that once you get married. And the energy I'm picking up on is the equivalent of, you know what, this would actually be better if I dialed it back to like single people. So if you think about how you are when you're single and you're not in a relationship, and like how you behave a certain way, and there's certain things that you do as a single person, but once you get into a committed relationship, it's like certain things kind of shift, you know what I mean? So it's like if you're single, it's like, I don't know, you could have like a chick or a dude at your house at like midnight, right? That you fraternize and gallivant with. But when you're in a relationship, then that would be kind of disrespectful. Not talking about like best friends and stuff. I'm just saying like rando people, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that would kind of change, or checking in with your partner with stuff or whatever, right? But it feels to me like the energy between the two of you is like, up until whatever this fallout was between the two of you, you were approaching stuff that way. Like you were in a relationship, but the two of you were still acting like single people. Not saying that that's literally what was going on, but so it could be anything for you. But the only way I can interpret that energy signature is that way. So it's like it's something in your relationship that needs to go to the next level or needs to maturate, because the way that the two of you were relating that led up to what led you guys to this crossroads, that's the thing that would have to be sacrificed and changed in order for this to progress moving forward, right? But and then I'm kind of thinking I might have slipped out and given you guys info that your person of interest may not have want you to have, because I'm thinking about like if they're being super secretive and don't want you to know what's going on with them, they probably wouldn't want you to know that they're like peeping you out and thinking about you and stuff too. So too bad, so sad. But so if you thought this person just kind of didn't care about what it is was going on with you, that's not the case at all. But like I said, with this energy being between the two of you, this is something that I feel both of you contributed to this. It's almost like a lack of communication and stunting. Like, I don't know, however you guys approach this connection between the two of you wasn't in the best interest of either of you. And I feel it would have led to this regardless. So if it wasn't this, like whatever this is that led you guys here, if it wasn't that, like say if it was an argument, if it wouldn't have been this argument, it would have been another, because it's something about how the two of you approach this that was off and like destined to fail in a sense. Like I hope and pray that that makes sense. Y'all have to let me know in the comments what that is, because I have no idea what I'm describing, but that's very much what it feels like. How the two of you chose to approach this was destined to hit a wall. It was destined to fail from jump. And in order for you guys to get out of the space that you're in, a decision has to be made that's going to require a sacrifice on both parts in order for you guys to move forward. So it's almost like a whole new way that the two of you are going to have to move forward in a sense. I think another thing I could think about with that would be like a situationship. You know what I mean? Like if the two of you were in a situationship and y'all are like, oh, I don't want to do titles. I don't want to do titles, but you're acting like it's a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And then because you're calling it a situationship and it is a relationship, one or both of you were acting like it was a situationship. And then when someone behaved in this particular way, the other person gets upset. It's like, oh my God, we're together. And it's like, well, I mean, you were saying no title, so I didn't know that that counted. Like, that's probably the closest that I could get to what that would mean. But y'all let me know in the comments. But anywho, getting into our more specific spread with your person of interest, the first card out in their fleeting thoughts, we have the Six of Swords in the reverse. Interesting. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. And that's fixed signs. So that's Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, as well as Leo. And then we have the Hierophant in the reverse. I mean, that's kind of like what I just said. And then in their conscious thoughts, we have the Hermit. Fascinating. That's Virgo energy. So here's the dealio. In reference to your person of interest, in their fleeting thoughts, like stuff that they're just kind of, weighing in their mind, things that are kind of jetting in and out. It's them looking at the connection between the two of you and them feeling like you guys are stuck, much like I was saying with this whole crossroads thing. It's like you guys are kind of stuck in limbo. There's a desire for them with this 10. I mean, with this 10, what was I about to say? The 10 of fortune. There's a desire for them with the Wheel of Fortune of wanting things for you guys to move forward and to be like in a positive sense. But in their perspective at present, it's the thought that you guys are stuck and it's not really knowing if you can move forward. And with this Hierophant in the reverse, it's all about like this non-committal, non-traditional kind of approach to things. Also, this could be your person of interest fear of commitment. So this could be a fear of them, like I was saying in what I thought was just a metaphorical example. This could be a fear of titles on things. This could be a fear of marriage. This could be a fear of being in a commitment period. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like what's in the back of their mind. You know what I'm saying? It's like a fear of committing. So what this kind of looks like to me, Gemini, to be honest, it's kind of looking like your person of interest is the one that's fearful of commitment. And of course, this can go vice versa. I had a couple of people ask me that last month, but yeah, this can go vice versa. I mean, especially if you cross watching, child. But with this, it's almost like I want stuff between us to be good, but I'm terrified of this whole commitment type of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know if there was like a conversation around that, like a conversation around going to the next level, being married, moving in together, or putting a title on it or something like that. And that kind of is what caused the chaos, because it's almost like your person is like, I mean, everything was fine the way it was. Why did you have to like say something about it? Because it's almost like saying something, like if we go back to the situationship example, it's like we were fine the moment that you asked, like, what are we and what are we doing? Like, what do we call this? Like, what is it that where is this going? It's almost like everything was fine up until that question was asked. And then there was like, your person just retracted in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's like for them, they want things to progress and move forward. But after whatever this is that happened with the Six of Swords in the reverse, it's like it's not really knowing how to move forward from that. So all in all, their main thing is it's like, we're in a really weird place. Don't really know how we're going to get out of this. Would I like things to be better? Absolutely. But it's like there's still this aura of this non-traditionalness. It's like I would kind of like stuff to be the way that it was, or the thought of just with the Hierophant and the reverse, the fact of them knowing that you two are on two different pages, right? If you're a person, and like I said, can go vice versa. If you're a person who wants commitment and they don't, you know, want like a title type of thing, you want to be married, they don't, you know, or they want to be married, you don't. It's kind of like that kind of vibe. So it's them trying to figure out how can we get to a good place when both of us have these two factors that are seemingly contradictory. You know what I'm saying? It's like, is there any way for this to get better? Is there a way for us to kind of turn the corner with this? Is there hope with this when we clearly both want two different things? You know what I mean? And is this something that we can get past? Now, with this hermit, it's kind of projecty for me. With this hermit, how it is that they're seeing you, what they're consciously aware of, is you like just cutting communication, almost like you going to try to find yourself, figure out life, you know what I'm saying, and the path that you're on. I think it's funny with their thoughts of you in that regard with the hermit, because that energy is very similar to me of like this high priestess kind of energy. You know what I mean? It's like they have information that they're not necessarily, you know, making public to you of what's going on with them, but they're also seeing you in that same way. The only difference is between how they're showing up and how they're perceiving you to show up is which is very strange, is their perception of you being more directed with it. I could say you're being more intentional and more directed with your lack of communication or lack of movement towards them, you know. And that brings me back to this Hierophant in the reverse. It's almost like their perception of you is you're very clear on what it is that you want, like you're hell bent on that. And it's almost you being contemplative, very similar to how it is that they are, in the thought of like, this may be like a done deal breaker type of vibe, is how they're perceiving it. Is they see you, if I were to just stick with the commitment thing, they're seeing you as very committed to, I want to be married. I'm very committed to, I want a title for this relationship type of thing. I want to know what it is that we're doing. I want to know where it is that we're going with this, right? And them also knowing with this hermit as well that it's a level of disappointment that they have caused you in reference to not being on the same page that you're on. But I like kind of what I would gather from this is that their assumption is likely that you wouldn't revisit this. You know what I mean? It's like their perception of you being that you're so committed to what it is that you want that you probably wouldn't bend on that, and your lack of communication with them is because you're like zero tolerance with that. Is kind of the vibe that I get, if that's making sense. Whereas what I see from you guys showing up as the Six of Cups in the reverse, that's not the case. You're still very much still thinking about this person, but it's just you guys wanting stuff to go back to the way that it was. But what I'm saying with this Two of Wands is you really don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that you guys were approaching this relationship, it was destined to end up how it did. So to kind of be like, oh, but you know, when we first met, like the first 3 months we were together, like everything was so perfect. And it's like, was it really? Because what it was in the beginning laid the foundation for where it is that you are now. So that's kind of like what I said, I was picking up intuitively of like idealizing it. It's like, and only remembering the good. It's like to remember the good, it's necessary to also remember the less than stellar things, because all of those things combined, like all of those ingredients you put together combined, create what it is that you guys are dealing with at present. You know what I'm saying? Like the lack of communication, the lack of clarity, like whatever it was, all of that were the ingredients for the recipe of what it is that we're dealing with now, right? But their perception of you is that it's like you're just like, you know, you're walking away from it. I'm, you know, 10 toes down. This is what I want. This is what I'm standing for. But not to say that you guys would betray what it is that you're what you're desiring. I just don't believe your person of interest thinks that you're thinking about them. Kind of, y'all are mirroring each other a lot, to be honest. It's like very much how you would think that they weren't thinking about you. It's the same way that they feel that you're not thinking about them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like the gist that I get from this is they don't think that, Gemini needs a few moments to gather themselves and they'll be back. They don't really see that as taking a few days to get yourself clear. Like they kind of see it as like you're going in a whole nother direction from them, if that's making sense. Now, their subconscious impression / projection. Interesting. This person packs pretty light. We have the Fool. This is a lot of major arcanas, by the way, because I'm looking at your person, their overall energy and majority of their cards -1 right now are all major arcanas, which is interesting. But with their subconscious impression / projection being the Fool, your person, they pack pretty light, if I could say it that way. I would have to say, like, being non-committal is kind of inherent to their nature. I was about to say personality, but it's almost like it's very inherent to their nature. It's like it's almost like a consistent reset, if I could say it that way. It's very strange. This whole reading has been strange of the energy signatures I'm picking up on, y'all. It's like I don't even know how to make sense of that. It's a consistent reset with this person. It's almost like a program they're running on to not put down roots, if that makes sense. That's why I say that they're very light on their feet. And I don't know why it's coming to be like, this is the type of person who I think are very amazing human beings, by the way. Like people who travel with just a carry-on. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people who can fly with just a carry-on are the most like magical, amazing human beings in existence, because it's like, how do you have a whole week of outfits in there? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of mixing and matching are you doing here? You feel me? Right? But that's kind of the vibe I get with them. It's like, and it's inherent to like their beingness to pack light into. It's almost like the concept of non-attachment, but I don't feel that this person acts that out in life in like a healthy kind of way. It's like this is just a person who, like, they may move a lot or change jobs a lot. It's like they almost seem like a person, and I forgive me for talking about your person, Gemini, but they would almost come off as like unstable. You know what I mean? It's like they don't really stay at jobs too long. They don't really stay living in the same place too long. They may not even have a car for too long. You know what I mean? Like if they're leasing vehicles or whatever, or they're just really reckless and like crash cars and stuff like that. It's like they're almost a person who is always kind of moving around and on to the next thing. And I feel like that would be kind of reflected in their relationships as well. It's just this light on your feet type of thing. When they get too settled into something, it's almost like they panic or get bored. You know what I mean? It could manifest as a panic, it could manifest as a boredom, but it's almost like they're always looking for fresh and new, like the next best thing. Whenever something becomes familiar, it's almost like they grow weary of it in a sense. And now when this comes to the projection, this is interesting because what I gather from this is this person saw you as that kind of person. So it's almost like the resonance between the two of you. Like, say, if their desire is like, no commitment, we'll just see where this goes. We're just having fun kind of vibe. It's like if that's what their approach is, it's almost like their perception of you was the same. It's like and like I said, it's a projection. Not to say that you were like that at all. It's just they saw you. And why did I just hear this? That sounds so corny. My guys just said good time Charlie. What is that? A good time Charlie. I'm gonna write that down and I'm going to Google that after this reading is over. A good time Charlie? Okay, sure, let's go with it. So so their perception of you was like a good time Charlie, whatever that is. That was the thought, but I feel that's not at all where you were kind of coming from, Gemini. I don't think that's necessarily what your intentions were. If it did seem that way in the beginning, it's like you guys vibed, you clicked, and that was cool, but you wanted this to grow into something or to be something. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the vibe I'm getting with this is so weird, y'all, because as I'm saying all of this, I'm feeling this feeling like in my gut to where, how do I want to say this? It's not as it seems because I feel like what I'm picking up in my gut is almost like the dissension in your person. It's like, yeah, granted, their energy is very much this not putting down roots, da 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 da. But then they met you, and it's like there was a shift. So it's like they're feeling something different, where it's like, I don't do, and this would be a perfect example. It's almost like they look at you and they're like, wow, I would want to be committed to them, right? But it's like, but I don't do the commitment thing though. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's almost like the war that's going on between the two of them. So, but I don't know, that's so crazy because perfect example of this, those of you who have watched Bridgerton, like the very, very first one, what the energy signature is that I'm picking up on with them is very similar to the Duke, I think he was. Like, yeah, the Duke, the guy, what's his name? Regé Jean Page played him like the super hot guy from the first installment of Bridgerton. It's like the energy signature I'm picking up on is very much the one that he struggled with, to where, to spite his dad, he made the vow to like never be married and to never have children because his dad only cared about carrying on his lineage. And like, so his, promise to his dad on his deathbed is like, I'll never be married and I'll never have children. So the line is with me. You know what I mean? That's kind of the energy I feel with this person, to where it's like they took this, and I mean, it could be karmic, child. I don't know where they came into this life with that, but it's like taking this vow and this oath to be light on your feet, very carry on bag. You know what I mean? Very non committal, very rebellious, right? So they've taken this oath to be that way, right? But it's like now it's not even benefiting you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're carrying an old bone, but it's like, for why? Because at this point it's no longer beneficial for you. And kind of like how I was in the show, it's like you would rather maintain a vow to a dead man, right? And spite your own self happiness, like, why? You know what I mean? But that's kind of the energy that I'm picking up from your person of interest, to where it's like they feel a connection, because like I said, it's like they're wanting you to move forward. But I feel like the only way up until this point that they were able to do that was by not making a decision and not making a commitment. So it's like they were able to be ambivalent and like, you know, uh sit on the fence, if you will. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have what seems to be like a relationship with Gemini, but it's really not that, so I get to maintain my commitment to being non-committal, right? And I also get to have Gemini in my life. You feel what I'm saying? But what's going to have to happen moving forward would be, if it was that scenario, Gemini sticking to your guns and this person having to make a decision, in so many words, right? Now, their feelings towards you, we have the Seven of Wands in the reverse. Oh, Jesus, this is long. I didn't think this was going to be this long. So here's the thing. um how can I say this neatly? how can I say this neatly? I'm trying to make sure that I use my proper verbiage with this. Um, I don't think I can find another nice. I mean, I guess it's not as bad, but just don't feel no way if it doesn't come out in a way that you find appropriate, Gemini. That's all I can say. But their feelings towards you at present is that you're going to crack eventually. You know what I'm saying? So their thought is you're playing hardball, and their thought is you're gonna crack eventually. Like eventually you're not gonna be able to maintain the poker face, right? Or the veneer, right? But here's the thing that's funny is I feel this is all projection. Again, like I said, all the way from the whatchamacallit, from the hermit card, and how I said the similarities with the high priestess here. It's like I don't see anything that's saying hermit to me in the six of cups in the reverse that you're showing up as. You know what I'm saying? You're just contemplative. Like, man, I really wish, like, I like the way things were with us in the beginning. I wish you could go back to that's kind of the place that you're in. It's not this whole I'm sticking to my guns, I'm walking this way, follow me. If not, then it's not going to happen. That's not even the headspace that you're in. So a lot of this is coming from a projection standpoint from them. You know what I'm saying? But with the seven of wands in the reverse and their feeling being like, oh, you're going to crack eventually. It's almost like their perception is that you're playing hardball, right? Again, like I said, with the hermit, it's like you're trying to stand your ground, but when you see, which says even more so that the secrecy type of thing they have going on is intentional, it's like you're going to crack eventually. So eventually it's like you're going to give up, you're going to reach out, you're going to call, you're going to see what's going on with them. I mean, I can't say whether or not you would do that, Gemini. What I can say is for the reasons that they think that you're doing that, it's not that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of almost like a quiet acceptance. You know what I'm saying? And like a little self-loathing kind of grief energy is what I would Gemini. It's almost like listening to sad love songs and with shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You know what I mean? I don't feel that there's any rhyme, reason, or strategy um to what Gemini is doing. It's just kind of crying over spilled milk in a sense. It's like you being sad of how, you guys got to this point or how things are at present, but there's no strategy to it. But your person, which is why I say it's a projection, because if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be a strategy for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to act like everything's fine and they'll come, crawling back eventually. You know what I'm saying? So their feelings towards you at present is that eventually that you're going to crack. You're going to, you know, crumble, and you're going to, come back and speak to them, which is why they're kind of taking this stance. And I mean, that's not necessarily ideal, because a person who has a stance like that kind of says to me that it's like a pridefulness, like it's a sense of almost like them feeling like they're right, like I was right and you were wrong. And it's like, oh, you think you're just not going to talk to me? But that still feels like, what I'm picking up intuitively, it feels like a false bravado. And I feel like that false bravado is really coming from the place that this person, that like they don't want to accept that they feel what it is that they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I need to freaking just name this goddamn reading like Bridgerton Part 1. Jesus Christ. Because this is literally what it feels like. It feels very much to me like that whole love story between the Duke and I forgot what the girl's name is, but it feels very much like a situation like that, to where he's resistant to the connection, but it's very clear that you're in love with this person. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like their own little issues that they have going on. But it's still like this egocentric type of thing that I'm picking up on with them that isn't necessarily a good thing, which is why I'm about to pull a couple of these to try to get some more insight into that, into if this person is just, you know, an asshole. You know, we have ascending. Oh, wow. That's interesting. We have ascending, transcending obstacles, learning, expansion, new phase, preparing for union. Jesus Christ. And then we have the Phoenix. Okay, so I guess they're not all bad. New phase, rekindle, renew, transformation, growth, changed mind. Fascinating. So here's the deal. That's funny. I'm looking back at the stuff in the store. It's like, oh, they're gonna crumble eventually. And it's like, nah, they're not gonna be the ones, you're not gonna be the one to crumble like they are. So here's the advice I would give you in reference to this, Gemini. Your person, and I'm not telling you whether you should or shouldn't be with this person, because I mean, a sketch. I mean, of course, me, when I watched Bridgerton for the first time, I was just like, no one is about to put up with this. Like the resolution that that show came to at the end, I was like, the chances, like if it wasn't for her being stuck in a marriage, right? And you know, her honor and all that being on the line to where she would be stained and no man would ever, you know, be with her. Like if that happened in 2024, there's no possible way that that couple would have ever come to that resolution that they came to. Like just the fact that they were stuck with each other, you know what I'm saying, is why I feel like they were able to come to resolution. So I say that to say, I can't say that this is going to be a romantical, like happily ever after with this person. You know what I'm saying? My guys are saying something else now. Like how I said this could be like karmic-y in a sense. It's not. My guys just told me like this person, and this is something you can see in your numerology chart. Like in certain people's numerology chart, like you have karmic numbers in your numerology chart, and there's certain people, and a lot of Libras, I've found, maybe I think it's just because like they're a Libra. But I think every numerology chart I've ever done for someone, um, the Libras I've done charts for, they don't have like karmic cycle numbers, it's called, like karmic numbers or whatever. So I don't know if that's something that's just exclusive to Libras, but I noticed Libras I've done charts for, like I said, don't have it. So it's nothing that they came into this life with to get resolution on. You know what I'm saying? So all of the karma that they have is literally collected in this lifetime. So what my guys are telling me about your person, that's how your person of interest is. So this isn't like past life gobbledygook, right? That they came into this with, you know, and that's probably why my guys were telling me not personality. Because how I was saying, I was like, I wanted to say personality, but they're like saying like inherently, like how this person is. And this is inherently how they are from conditioning. So personality would still be something that technically you came in with, because that's like in your DNA structure. You know what I'm saying? How your personality is. Like, there's not even necessarily components of it. There are facets of your personality that are molded by, you know, the nature side of nurture, you know, versus nature or whatever. But inherently, it, you know, you just are who you are and how you are. You feel what I'm saying? But and I always use my son as an example of that. Like I'm a single mom and my son is like, you know, this raging, like not bad raging, but you know, using that description, like raging alpha male. Like he is a boy's boy, a dude's dude. He's like a jock and he plays sports, and I am none of those things. I don't know anything about sports. I don't watch sports. Like, you know, I just assumed, you know, me being a single mom, my son would be like artsy and playing with tarot cards and stuff, right? But he's like nothing like that at all, right? So I say that to say, like, there are elements to where we're molded by our environment, but our personality just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Genetically. So I say that with this person, with this fool being in their subconscious, like they have a clean slate. So they can be whoever or however they want. And that's probably why they brought up the whole Bridgerton example, because this is a decision that this person made based on life experience. So it's something that they witnessed or something they experienced in this particular life that they elected to take this stance as like a form of self-protection, so that something, they don't experience whatever it is that they're trying to avoid. You feel what I'm saying? And that kind of leads me to say that, I don't know, it's kind of like soulmatey kind of vibes. But I think I said what the other card was: the Phoenix, new phase, rekindle, renew, transformation, growth, change, mind. So all of this I'm saying, which is a positive thing, going back to what I said with this Two of Wands, right? Of the fact of how I was saying the way that the two of you approach this going forward, you're not going to be able to do that. Like something has to shift on how it is that, you guys approach this connection prior to now. So what I can say, Gemini, if you aren't in contact with this person, or you guys had like a blow up and like, things have been kind of simmering down, I can tell you that this person, they're worried about, thinking you gonna crack. No, you're not gonna crack, because you don't have a strategy with this. You're just sad, right? With this person, they're gonna crack, and they're eventually gonna come to you. Because I don't know, Gemini, I don't want to oversell it, but what this really feels to me is one of those situations like absence makes the heart grow fonder. So it's almost like you being sad over here, not talking to them. It's almost like them now realizing like how much you mean to them and what it is that they really want, type of deal.
Don't forget to take out your trash cans.
Okay, girl. But it's like them kind of coming to that realization of all of this. You know what I'm saying? But there is the potential to where when the two of you come together, there is going to be like an epic shift, because this wouldn't work any other way. Like there has to be, it's almost like there had to be an ending in order for there to be a new beginning between the two of you. And I would say this even more so for people, if you and this person broke up like the eclipse week, like the first week of October, I would say that even more so, because those of you who saw my weekly reading for the first week of October, the overall energy was the Ten of Swords. So it's like something where there's no goesies backsies, like it's an end, and of course a simultaneous new beginning, because the old way is dead. The only way for this to start over is it has to start completely fresh, if that's making sense. I hope and pray all this made sense, Gemini. I don't know why you're on, but anyway, I'm gonna throw the dice of resonance. So go ahead and ask a yes or no question. This is very interesting reading. Very interesting. Okay, we have Pisces, we have Leo, we have female, we have family, we have sun. And the answer to your question is hell no to the no, no, no. Hell no to the no. Pay no attention to my broken nail. Hell no. So they can be a Leo sun or a Pisces sun, family, female. And the answer to your question is hell no. So Gemini, that has been your connection session for October. Most certainly let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, I love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friend.